Hi everyone, it's Miss Brenner. I'm here to go over our agenda for week 12. I hope you're all doing well and staying happy and healthy. Our expectations for week 12 are that students will take literary notes to help support their understanding of dystopian literature and begin reading examples of dystopian literature in both the form of short stories and the novel Brave New World. Students will know literary terms, dystopian society types, Brave New World terms, and dystopian controls. Students will be able to identify characters and terms based on plot moments, reference characters by name, and identify types of dystopian societies and controls. As far as essential questions, how do dystopian societies act as a satirical mirror to modern society, and why do characters in these societies accept the enforced laws of the society? What insight can you gain from dystopian literature? These are our essential questions for the week. As far as week 12, if we look in the Activity 1 folder, we have a brief discussion that is for prior to reading Brave New World, so please make sure you complete that before beginning to read the story. What I ask is, through these statements, are they, as they relate to theme and issues in Brave New World, read each statement and select 7 of them to use in your written response. Decide whether you agree or disagree and explain your stance in relation to the statement. So I'm not just asking you to agree or disagree, I'm asking you to explain why you feel one way or the other. There are multiple different statements. There are 14 in total. I'm asking you to pick 7. Next, we have our 2 ed puzzles. One is for Chapter 1 and one is for Chapter 2, listed right here. We then have questions for Chapters 1 and 2 that should be completed and turned in, and then a discussion post. So at this point during week 11, you have already read Maneki Neko, and you will be discussing that in comparison to Brave New World. We see in both the societies within the short story Maneki Neko and the novel Brave New World that humans are constantly striving to create social order through the implementation of technological growth. The methods by which the technology is implemented is different between the 2 stories, but both stories want to see humans living happier lives and to choose to use technology in order to achieve this ideal state. What methods are used in order to achieve a happier society in Maneki Neko, and how does this system function? How is this different from technological methods used to achieve happy societies in Brave New World? And is one method more effective than the other, or are both methods so flawed you would disagree with the implementation of either technique? So that is your discussion question for Activity 1. Activity 2, we are reading Harrison Bergeron. You may have already read this short story. I'm not sure, but if you have or haven't, that is Activity 2. There is a video. The video is not the same as the story. Please do not go off the video alone. The video is interesting, but it does not take the identical plot terms of the actual story. So just keep that in mind. And then there is a discussion for Harrison Bergeron and Brave New World. I'm asking, how do the events of Harrison Bergeron portray in a satirical manner the need for social order in society, and how is this need for equality met? How is this enforced? Order different from the enforced order in Brave New World, and is there one solution that you feel is better than the other, or do you feel that both methods are flawed and neither would be effective? Activity 3. We are going to be looking at some nonfiction literature to compare with Brave New World and some of the other dystopian pieces of literature we have been covering. We are going to be talking about social class, considering the fact that Brave New World has its own class system that is going to be important throughout the entirety of the novel. So in your notes, we did talk about the Brave New World class system. We're going to continue to talk about it. It's in your questions for Chapters 1 and 2 as well. But we're going to compare it to some methods that are used in the real world to try and create order as far as social classes are considered. So we have an ed puzzle that talks about social class. This video is optional. I really recommend it if you find this topic interesting that is talked about in this article. So in the Getting In article, it's an article about getting into a university, particularly elite universities. And then there's a worksheet that is paired with it that helps you to analyze the article overall. If we look at Activity 4, we are reading chapters 3 and 4 using Edpuzzle, and then we have reading questions for chapters 3 and 4 that look like this. Once again, we're tracking our characters as well, so that way we can identify our characters as we read. So when you respond to different discussions, such as this discussion for Brave New World chapters 1 through 4, hopefully you can use characters' names in order to make references. If we look at that discussion, I bring up the fact that in your Dystopian Notes 3 Edpuzzle, we go over the 9 elements that compose controls over dystopian societies. So we're talking about propaganda, as far as how it is used, information and independent thought and freedom are restricted, and so on. All 9 of them are listed for you. I'm asking you to choose 5 of the 9 elements that you believe best support or describe the power of the dystopian society within the novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Explain how these 5 elements exist within the plot structure of Brave New World using details from chapters 1 through 4 of the novel. So, you do not need to find all 9. I'm asking you to pick 5 that you think you can find examples for in chapters 1 through 4 of the novel. A lot of them do overlap, so if you can find certain ones, you should be able to make connections to others. Please keep that in mind. And then lastly, we have our silent reading reflection for this week. Remember, you should be reading a minimum of 15 minutes a day. It should be a piece of literature that is not something that is assigned for the coursework. So, how do the characters in your stories grow through a psychological lens? If you are reading nonfiction, how do the people's actions shape history or the events taking place? This is a reflection on morality. So after you have completed your initial post, you are going to comment on one other student's discussion post about what they are reading in a netiquette appropriate manner. Alright, those are all the assignments for week 12. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I would be happy to go over any of the assignments in more detail if you need more detail. And I hope that you guys have a great week. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.